Hi everybody, this is Alchemist2, and I'm back again with another book review. Recently, I read Edgar Cayce's Tales of Ancient Egypt, written by John Van Auken, and as you see here, you can find this book on the webpage arecatalog.com. It's only, well, including the index, is 283 pages. And it talks about, in the Book of the Dead, how one soul is always preparing itself for the afterlife or the next incarnation of perfection. And the soul itself was weighed against a feather, and if the soul was lighter than the feather, and the feather represented the cares of the world, if the soul was lighter than a feather, then of course the soul could ascend to a higher consciousness or to the afterlife, whatever you want to believe it. If not, then they would go to the crocodile god, and they had to reincarnate and begin again, try to perfect themselves in that lifetime, in whatever incarnation that they had begotten. I just find it really fascinating. I'd read the Book of the Dead before, and it is a tome. It's absolutely thick and humongous. But the book itself is really quite fascinating. It talks about how ancient Egyptians conducted ceremonies day in and day out, and how some pharaohs lived for thousands of years, rejuvenating themselves, and they were more spiritual beings, and it wasn't uncommon for people to be more like aliens in the way that they lived. I don't know if that makes any sense in the way I describe it, but if you read this book, it makes more sense, and there's more understanding in it. And I couldn't put it down. I was utterly fascinated by it. I've always been drawn to Egypt, and I was never sure as to why. I've always liked their culture and the creation myth, particularly of Isis and Osiris, although it's incest. Yeah, the Greeks had some really unusual myths of their own as well. I'm sorry, it's really late, and much of what's coming out of my mouth probably doesn't make that much sense because I'm so tired, but the book itself is certainly worth looking into, and it is an utterly exceptional read. It's phenomenal. It's a metaphysical book, and it's not just a book that you can read and put down. It's a book that's a reference book that you can learn from again and again, because it actually has meditations in there for tuning the chakras. And I thought, oh, this is good. Everybody needs that. So I'll definitely look into that again, because our bodies are continually in need of becoming connected with their source, whatever source you believe that might be. I believe it is God, and I think that this all-knowing, all-seeing creator, living energy, I think that he has formed everything in its perfection through a process of evolution. Of course, it took millions and millions of billions and billions and billions of years in order to accomplish this. It wasn't just done in a second. Couldn't have been done overnight. We know this from our geological samples, but anyway, I'm getting into a whole evolutionary discourse, and I don't really want to do that, but I am a high believer in evolution, but I also think that a higher being had to be in charge of putting that into to view. So I don't really think that those two areas disagree at all. The book also talks about flying machines. And if you've watched Ancient Aliens, then you know exactly where I'm going with this. In ancient Egypt, there was a wooden bird that was located in one of the pyramids, and it didn't have a rudder at the end of it. It was shaped more like an airplane, and the wings were flat on the bottom, curved on the top, just like the Bernoulli effect, in order to give lift to the plane and maintain altitude. Um, how are the Egyptians known about this? They probably received their knowledge from an otherworldly source. That's a lot of what a lot of ancient astronaut theorists presume or concur or ascribe to. I like to agree with this theory, but I really don't have any evidence. Well, that's actually the most common thing that astronaut theorists will conclude with. This is our concrete evidence, this bird that we uncovered at the pyramid burial site. They actually did a full-scale model experimentation of this, and it did fly, and it proved a point. And Van Auken actually says that they received this from going into a deeper state of consciousness, which I could see that too. I can definitely say that a lot of geniuses go into a trance state, and when they do, like Einstein, Tesla, Edison, I'm sure a lot of other well-known geniuses went into trance, and then they were, it's like Brahms, even Brahms, believe it or not, he was quoted as of saying, I go into this other dimension of thought. Now I don't know if that's as a direct quote or not, but I do remember hearing that, and I thought, could he be speaking about another dimension? I mean, a fourth dimension, or fifth dimension, or sixth dimensions. We know that there are, well, so far as we are cognizant, there are probably 12 known dimensions known to us. I'm sure there are more. I know that there have to be more, and it's just something that our tiny, finite minds cannot possibly comprehend or even fathom. There's no way, because our minds just don't grasp the concept of infinity. We are finite. We are mortal. We die. These earthly vessels that we have only last for so long, but actually this is disproven because Methuselah, it actually speaks of Methuselah. Methuselah was not born and did not die, and I thought, what? Because I'd always thought that he had been born, but he never died. So that was one thing that I didn't quite understand at the time. I thought, how is that even possible? Can that be done? What am I missing here? But apparently he wasn't born and he didn't die, and he just was ethereal. He was this being that didn't need a corporeal form. I don't know. It's something that just goes beyond what I can even put words to and define in my own empirical way. Because by nature I am inquisitive and I am a scientist. And a lot of people say, "Oh no, you're not. You're not a scientist. Come on. What have you ever experimented with? What have you ever what have you ever done that's even scientific?" I defy that, because nature is my playground, and I'm always finding out new things through it. Nature is my best teacher. Books like this one are other sources of knowledge that I gleaned from daily. And I highly recommend this book. This book is not just something that you can pick up and read and place it aside and say, well, I've learned something new about the Egyptian culture, and that there are remnants of the Egyptian culture in this day and age. And some of us have become reincarnated. I wonder if I'm one of those, because I just feel so tied to Egypt, and I do not know why. It's just something that has really pulled up my heartstrings for years. I even have a cartouche, believe it or not, and I love scarabs. Scarabs are in my jewelry collection. I have something from my aunt on my father's side. It is a bracelet. They are turquoise scarabs, and the scarab itself is very intriguing, and I like this illustration that they gave of the scarab, or the dung beetle, for lack of better terminology, but this is what it is. And that was the first creation. That's what it's described as, the first creation. Basically, the scarab, or the dung beetle, he rolls his dung to the top of the hill. This is all very metaphorical and allegorical and symbolic. And from that, he plants the seed. That's all of those mistakes. That's all of his earthiness. That's the sensuality, the carnality, that's resembled in all that dung, basically. He plants his seed in it. The seed is symbolic of new life, growth, regeneration. Newness comes from the sufferings. Actually, dung is the sufferings, the trials, the tribulations, all the crap, basically, that accumulates in our life, and then we become more spiritual beings through our refinement, so to speak. We have to become refined as through fire, as the New Testament says. And I really agree with that. I myself, I can say that I am going through a period of heavy refinement right now. I'm learning what my niche is in this life. I I had always thought that I was supposed to be a healer, just like my mother, but I'm not like my mother, because I'm an entity all to myself and unique from her. I know that I'm going to be going into a field where I can help people and give them a better experience of life and live life more fully. Hopefully, that's what I really intend on doing. Is my aspiration. That, and becoming a producer of films that cause encouragement, enlightenment, um, education, and entertainment. Edutainment. Yes, the two things can go together quite well, as one of my idols, Bill Nye, has done so successfully throughout the years, and I admire him very, very highly, and he's one of the people I want to meet, and he's on my bucket list. So one day I hope I can actually see him in person, say, you really inspired me. And it's sort of like, the episode of Big Bang Theory, and I thought, yeah, this would be a whole lot cooler if it had been Bill Nye, but, they had Bob Newhart, which is just as good, because Bob Newhart's, he's an incredible person. He's so funny, and he was absolutely sensational in that episode. But anyway, I'm rambling, and I have to say that the book itself is nothing short of tremendous, and I highly recommend it just because of everything that it covers. It covers fallen angels. It covers spacecraft. It covers reincarnation. It covers just becoming more spiritual beings throughout our lives, and remembering our past lives, and what our present lives are accumulating, or coming to the culmination of us reaching a higher sense of being, just becoming more perfected, as to speak. I don't know any other way of depicting that, or describing it well. Anyways, I think that the book itself is just absolutely astronomically written. And Van Auken, he has done tours throughout Egypt before, and he talks about his previous incarnation, and I'm just absolutely taken by this. This is something that is just so absolutely sensational. It's really, really um, tremendous, and I can say nothing else other than that. It really is a stellar book, and I highly, highly recommend that if you're interested in anything close to this esoteric, metaphysical, mystical type of book, then Ancient Egypt, Edgar Cayce's Ancient Egypt is right up your alley.